Hello. Big news in Oregon technology this week has to do with innovation hubs around the state. And a breaking news story that just came across my desk, I'm still processing, is if you've ever wondered how to get into Y Combinator, if you're like, I would like to be in YC, I would like to be a YC alum, but you haven't quite figured out how to do it. Maybe you've tried and it didn't work, or maybe you're thinking about doing it, but you want to have your best opportunity to get into Y Combinator. There's a brand new program that may be able to help you with that. But before we get into the big news, I wanted to touch on a couple of quick items. Have you heard of TechCrunch? You know, the blog that covers the tech startups and things and stuff. Well, it turns out they have podcasts as well. And our friend, Paige Hendricks Buckner, who is the CEO of Allraise. Allraise is an organization designed to improve diversity in venture capital, both through educating LPs about why they should be funding more diverse fund managers, but also ensuring that that capital flows down to traditionally underrepresented founders as well. So Allraise is doing all that work. Paige is the CEO. She had the opportunity to sit down with the TechCrunch podcast crew and record an episode. I will link it up so you can listen to that. As always, Paige is just, she's amazing. Just great energy, so incredibly intelligent, thoughtful about the whole industry. And every time I hear her speak, I learn new stuff. And this time was no different. So I encourage you to catch Paige on the TechCrunch podcast. We'll link that up. The other one that I'm super excited about is the Pebble is back. I have an old Pebble. You know, it's the watch with the e-ink that came out before the Apple Watch and was kind of one of those kind of first forays into the real estate on the wrist kind of thing. And my band broke, it disintegrated long ago. And I have to keep it plugged in because the battery no longer holds a charge. But I love my Pebble, always loved it, and I'm sad to see its demise. But now Pebble 2, it's back. Super excited. I will be keeping an eye on that. And, just out of pure nostalgia, we'll probably try and get a Pebble 2. And if I do, I'll show it to you. Final quick news item. Every week I like to take the opportunity to introduce you to somebody from the Oregon startup community. We have this database of folks that everybody's kind enough to fill out their profile and introduce themselves. And I like to kind of extend that introduction to you because you're here to watch, and I think you deserve to meet these people as well. This one, as a matter of fact, I even met in person this week and had a chance to chat with them about the Portland startup community. Meet Dominic Kuklawood. Dominic's name may sound familiar because he's the one who put together the Portland Startup Events calendar. He was kind of frustrated that Caligator didn't have all the startup events because it was very tech focused. And so he took the opportunity to kind of wrangle Luma in a way that he could create a Portland Startup Events calendar. So when you submit events to the Portland Startup Events calendar, that's Dominic who's approving those for you. He's also helping reboot New Tech PDX, which used to be one of the largest gatherings in Portland around tech and startups, and he's helping kind of reboot that organization. His day job is as the director of partnerships at DataSpeaks, where he is, quote, currently working my way to adequacy in a high-level sales job, unquote. Dominic is a native Oregonian, born and raised, and he's super passionate about the Portland startup community. So if you're interested in getting more connected in the community, maybe you have an idea for New Tech PDX, please reach out to Dominic. Now, on to the big news. Now, on to the big news. We had been waiting for this news to come down. The state budget was kind of stuck in this purgatory, and we weren't sure if the funding was going to come through or what was going to happen. But we have heard officially this week that Business Oregon will fund another biennium of funding for innovation hubs around the state. If you're not familiar with the way that Oregon runs its government, it has a legislative short session 1 year, and then a legislative long session, and then a short session, a long session. And so during the long session, they approved budget for a 2-year period, which is called a biennium. And so over this biennium, they will spend for nearly $4 million in helping innovation hubs around the state document resources for startups and entrepreneurs, connect entrepreneur support organizations, help with wayfinding for startup founders and other entrepreneurs in the ecosystem, help connect those startup founders and entrepreneurs to the entrepreneur support organizations they need. They're really just connecting dots all throughout their particular region. So, for example, Portland has the Metro Region Innovation Hub, and it deals with the broader Portland metropolitan area and helping founders in that space. Other areas of the state have their own respective hubs. So there's a hub in the Gorge, there's a hub in Bend, there's a hub in Eugene. There are a bunch of hubs. And so, and the other beauty of the hub work is all the hubs, as this work continues, as they all find their footing, as they've all documented what's happening in their communities, as they identified the strengths of their communities, either from a support perspective or a mentorship perspective or even a startup perspective, they will be able to connect with other hubs. And so it will be this networked activity where we will soon have a statewide repository of all the things that are of value to founders, startups, entrepreneurs in our state. So that's the grand vision, but we're still working toward that. But of course, funding for operating will really help each and every one of those hubs. And some of the hubs the first time around were still testing, some received full funding. And so what I'd like to do for you, so you have an understanding of how many hubs there are, how much they've been funded, is I would just like to read each hub and the dollar amount it received for the next 2 years of operating capital. Okay, so here we go. The Metro Region Innovation Hub, the hub of innovation in the Portland metro region, received $1.2 million. Frontier Oregon Innovation Hub received $465,000. The Mid-Columbia Innovation Hub received $420,000. Cascades West Innovation Hub received $400,000, as did Southern Oregon Innovation Hub. The Mid-Valley Innovation Hub received $385,000. The Northwest Innovation Hub received $275,000. And the Southwest Oregon Innovation Hub received $225,000. So all told, that's $3.77 million, I think. But the good news is these projects will continue on. I think the concern I had at the beginning of this process is, what if we stood these things up, got them going, but they couldn't find sustainable funding mechanisms to keep them going over time? And with the state helping with this funding, that at least guarantees that these organizations have the capital they need to continue moving forward, continue doing the work, and hopefully continuing to create resources that help you as a founder or as an entrepreneur find the people you need, find the resources you need, get the education you need or the connections you need to build the business you want to build. And that's the concept of all of the innovation hubs. This is all detailed in Oregon's kind of 10-year innovation plan. And if you're interested in the background and why they chose this direction, that's a great document to read or to feed into your favorite LLM and have it summarize the document for you. But anyway, good news being, funding for innovation in Oregon has been provided to each of these hubs, and I look forward to seeing what they're able to do with that capital. For more information on any of this, I will link up the press release so you can kind of see what's what and figure out what hub addresses your particular region of Oregon. And then, of course, there are links to all the hubs. The only one I couldn't find, it was the Northwest Innovation Hub. I couldn't find the link for that, but every other hub had a site up and running. So congratulations to each of the innovation hubs. If there's anything I can do to support you at the Innovation Hub, if you're on the Innovation Hub staff or the planning committee at any of the innovation hubs around the state, or if you have news you want to share with me from out of your innovation hub or out of your region, please feel free to send it my way. I'm always happy to amplify the work of innovation hubs throughout the state of Oregon. Okay, speaking of funding, there's a semi-new fund in town. I say that because, like, I think everybody thinks that, like, VC sometimes they think this about startups. I think everybody thinks that, like, the way VC happens is somebody just goes, "I'm just gonna raise a bunch of money, and then I'm gonna start investing in companies, and that's only gonna take a matter of months, and it's gonna be really easy, and then I'm gonna be done." And the fact of the matter is that's not how it works. It often takes a very, very long time to get everything together, to do all the legal stuff, to structure the organization, to talk to potential LPs. Limited partners, if you're not familiar with the lexicon, LPs are the people who give the money or say they're going to allow the organization to use their money to invest. And like you get into all these agreements with all of them, and then that's how you raise the fund. And then, and then even once you start investing, there's all this legal stuff that you have to do and due diligence and all these things. So not all it's cracked up to be being a VC, and it takes a while to stand up a fund, especially a brand new fund. But Josh Carter has made some really interesting progress with the Founder First Fund, not the Founders First Fund. I always would say Founders First Fund, and it would remind me of like baby's first telephone, but it's not that. It's Founder First Fund. It originally started out as the 1859 fund, but then changed and has been going under the name of Founder First Fund as it's re-engaged with all this activity post-pandemic. So there's quite a few news items. GeekWire broke the story. What I'd like to do is just share the news that GeekWire shared so that I don't screw anything up. Let me provide you the news as GeekWire broke it verbatim. The fund is led by Josh Carter, a longtime entrepreneur and former director at Washington Maritime Blue, a nonprofit based in Seattle that supports maritime startups. Carter is general partner at the firm, along with Justin Vandehey, an entrepreneur who sold his startup Disco to Culture Amp in 2021, and is currently CEO of sales automation startup Thread. Founder First Fund recently added former Twilio exec Bobby Napoltonia as a venture partner. The firm announced Tuesday that it has raised seed investment from Saeed Amidi, CEO of Plug and Play, the Silicon Valley-based innovation group that recently planted its flag in the Seattle region. So that's all good progress for Founder First Fund. Again, they're not to the point of being able to write checks yet. I don't think they've hit first close, but they are making progress, and they're almost like building in public. Like often what will happen with venture funds is somebody will kind of either not say anything and work and work and work, and then all of a sudden there will be a fund, or they will say we're raising a fund, we're thinking about raising a fund, and then be very, very quiet about it. And then you'll see some SEC filing and you're like, oh, they hit first close. And then people break the news. And then the fund folks, the partners, like, please don't talk about that. I'm not ready to talk about that. And so it's kind of a convoluted process, however you play it. But these guys are building in public in this fund. So we get to see more of what's happening. And I, of course, will keep you up to date on Founder First Fund and all of their activity. I'll especially let you know once they hit first close, because that's when they can start writing checks. Okay, that breaking news that came across my desk, like if you're interested in Y Combinator, the venerable, celebrated startup accelerator that started in Boston and then would do a Boston cohort batch. They call them batch, a Boston batch and then a San Francisco batch. And they were kind of doing those. And they're like, San Francisco is really where we should be. And so they shut down Boston, and then they went to San Francisco and they continued to do things there. And then they went out to Mountain View, and they might have been out in Mountain View. They were in the Bay Area. Now they're in San Francisco. Anyway, YC. They've had tons and tons of successful companies go through their program. Every tech startup entrepreneur at some point wonders what it would be like to go through YC, considers trying to apply for YC. it's an achievement for a lot of folks just to get into that program, let alone succeed in that program. And someone here locally, Darius Monsef, who goes by the nickname Bubs, has been through YC 3 times. He's been accepted and has gone through YC 3 times. And that puts him in a very, very like select group of people, like a handful of people, only a handful have been through 3 times. It's like way, way back when in the 80s when there had only been a few 5-time SNL hosts. That's kind of what Darius is like. So truly a unicorn having the experience going through YC 3 times. Well, he kind of, he's working on his new startup called Rides. I've talked about that before. But Darius was kind of like, it dawned on him that he has extensive knowledge and insights about how YC works, where the benefits are, what it takes to get in there, how you prepare for it, like how you might need support after YC, like all the aspects of YC that also surround YC. And so he came up with this concept. He's like, what if I do a pre-accelerator and help people who either tried to get into YC but got rejected, or help people who have never applied for Y Combinator at all, help them have a better chance of getting accepted into the program. And so we started this program I like it because it's like Prefontaine. If you don't know who Prefontaine is, then I'll go ahead and link up some stuff on Pre for you as well, so that you have that history, that Oregon history. But the idea is it's a cohort-based thing, or batch-based, I guess, if it's YC related, and it's really designed to take you through, I believe it's 10 weeks of really learning the ropes, understanding how to apply it to YC, how to get the most out of YC. It's only like $250 is all he's charging for. And he's starting with a very small group of people. And the knowledge is invaluable. I think there's also a small kind of like advisory share, very like 0.5% equity or something. That's like almost like grant behavior. But it seems to be, given the depth of knowledge that he has, seems to be a really affordable opportunity for founders to engage with, because even if you don't wind up getting into YC, you've still learned some really valuable things about being a startup founder from somebody who's a serial founder. So all things being equal, I would encourage you to take a look at Pre, whether you're thinking about going into YC or not. You may discover that you actually can get into YC, even though you thought you might not be able to. And Pre is likely the program that will help you do that. This is the first cohort. It's pretty small. I'm sure it will fill up quickly. But if it sounds interesting to you, I will link it up. Please check out Pre. Drop your application in there and see if you can get into the first cohort of this accelerator designed to help people get into and survive Y Combinator. All right, a few events coming up this week. Show Up for Small Business is happening Wednesday, August 20th. They're doing the Broadway district. If you don't remember what Show Up for Small Business is, it's basically a flash mob. It's a bunch of people show up in a chosen district of the city. They go to restaurants, go to bars, shop at stores in that region during that time. So it's really just designed to help small businesses, help drive revenue to Portland small businesses. And it's been happening roughly once a month. There's the one downtown in Ankeny Alley. There was the one up in St. John's. There was the one at the Coretta Carts in Southeast. And now they're doing Broadway. So if you have time on Wednesday and you feel like supporting local small businesses, and as a Portland person, I know you do. So if that's important to you, try and make time to come out to the Broadway neighborhood and hang out with the Portland office of small business, as they host yet another Show Up for Small Business. That's Wednesday, August 20th. The following night, Thursday, August 21st, is of course the Pitch Black Showcase. It's likely it's sold out, but you probably just want to check and see if you can still get tickets. It's being held at the Armory at Portland Center Stage, so it's a much larger venue. It's at least twice the size that Pitch Black has been before, and so there should be a really good crowd there, really good energy. It'll be really exciting to see Pitch Black at this level as a bigger and more involved production and more people and all that kind of thing. I will, of course, be supporting Pitch Black as part of the production crew. I'll be behind the scenes helping with the slides and all those kind of things. So I will be there. I look forward to seeing you there, but only if you go and grab your ticket as quickly as you can. And of course, as with all Pitch Blacks, it's about the community celebrating Black founders and the concepts for their companies or their fully fledged companies or a product that they've just built. It's really just a celebration of Black innovation and excellence. And I hope you have the chance to attend. It's always an amazing event. And then finally, Coffee and Croissants and Content Clarity is happening Saturday, August 23rd. I highlight this one because it's just like, I love people who help others with content or help them tell the story they really want to tell. And this small kind of intimate workshop environment, I think it's limited to like 15 people. So if this is interesting to you, if you need help telling stories or you need help with your content or you just need help focusing your story, this could be the thing for you. And it's happening on a Saturday, so you don't even have to be doing like full-time startup-y stuff. You can just go and hang out and learn some stuff and hear other people's stories and get help with your story. And it's just all good. It's a win-win-win kind of thing. So if that sounds interesting to you, that's happening Saturday, August 23rd, and I encourage you to attend that. Okay. I don't know what's up with my voice tonight. It keeps cracking, but it's just you and me. It's just you and me. Now it's just us here. Everybody else is gone. They got tired of listening to me babble about whatever. But this is the time when I just kind of share a few secrets, like talk about what I'm working on or things that are going on. I already told you I had the chance to sit down with Dominic this week. It was great to catch up with him. I caught up with Bobby from Founder First Fund on a call, and where it was kind of talking to him about what they're working on there and what's coming up with Ben Venture Conference. That's the other thing. Founder First Fund also agreed to be the capital for the winner of the early stage at Ben Venture Conference. So I'm sorry I missed that one, but here you are, learning secrets that I should have told everybody, but now I'm just telling you. And caught up with a few other people throughout the week. All good. And then these posts just kept coming into my feed. And like they would come in there organically, or the algorithm would serve them up to me. And then I had people who were sending them to me in back channel where they're just like, have you seen this? What do you think about this? Like, what about this? Blah, blah, blah. And I kind of lost it and did a little rant because the focus of all these posts I was getting, they're all like superficially saying, oh, Oregon's a great place to be an entrepreneur. Oregon's the number 4 state to build companies in. It's so great. It's so wonderful. It's so supportive, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I don't hear that from founders that I'm talking to. Like every founder I talk to is like, this is tough. This is hard. We don't have the support we need. Being a founder is hard no matter where you are. It doesn't matter where you are. It's hard to be a founder. And like in certain states, it's much harder than other states. And in my estimation, Oregon tends to be one of those states where it is difficult to be an entrepreneur. It is difficult to be a startup founder. It is not easy. And so when I keep seeing these stories about how great Oregon is and how great it is to be an entrepreneur here, especially when they're published by disreputable publications or like blogs you've never heard of or kind of like some one-off thing. Like anyway, it kind of irked me. And so I wrote a little rant and posted it to my blog, and it kind of felt like, good old fashioned blog where you just old man yells at cloud, like just scream into the ether about something that was frustrating to you or me, as it were. And it really just comes down to being a founder is fucking hard. Until I hear a founder tell me that entrepreneurship in Oregon is great, I'm just discounting all the rest of that, whether it's a reputable publication or not, whether it's reputable research or not. And I tried to demonstrate that by sharing some of the actual research that the state of Oregon itself has done to demonstrate the challenges around entrepreneurship and innovation in the state. And they're like, it's not great. We got to work on some stuff. So anyway, long story short, bunch of articles basically lying, claiming that it's great in Oregon because they pulled some metric from somewhere, and it just pissed me off. So I wrote a little rant, and you may agree, you may disagree, whatever. All I ask of you, the only favor I ask of you, two favors. I will ask two favors. I will ask you to remember that being a founder is nearly impossible. Being an entrepreneur is hard, it's difficult, it's emotionally draining, it's mentally draining, it's physically draining, it's awful. It's the shittiest thing you can possibly do to yourself is being a founder. So please keep that in mind. And then second, I know we all need good news. I know we need good news. The world is fucking shit show right now. And so we're all like, I would really like some good news. I would like good news to share that will brighten other people's days. And I get that. And I get wanting to amplify those good news, happy moments, like dopamine burst, blah, blah, blahs. And I'm fine with that. I understand that. All I ask is if that a story comes across your social feed and it seems a little too good to be true, maybe just take a beat. Just pause, just look at where it came from before you celebrate it, because if it's too good to be true, it usually is. And so I would just wish that those sites wouldn't get the clicks and the just kind of amped up energy from everyone, because that's what they're trying to do. They're writing these false stories to get clicks to their site or to get their stuff shared. And so again, first favor, just keep in mind how hard it is for founders, and them hearing that it's great here can be corrosive and toxic for them. So keep those founders in mind. And then the other part is just make sure it's a relevant resource. Like if you find something where, like, I don't know, Harvard and Oxford and Yale and Stanford all collaborated with, the New York Stock Exchange and McKinsey and other places to determine that Oregon is the best place to be an entrepreneur, fine. If they did that research and they figured out some way to describe that, okay, those are relevant resources. I will listen to that and I will appreciate that. But don't just share the crap sites with their just don't. Please. Okay? Can you do that favor for me? That's all I ask. All right. Cool. I kind of put a lot on you there. You're like, oh, Innovation Hub funding. Oh, I might get into YC if I go through this thing. And now all of a sudden he's going off the rails about something. So I'm sorry. I apologize. But even with all my ranting, I sincerely hope you're doing well. I hope you're hanging in there. And until we get the chance to chat again, please keep up the good work.